I got home on a Friday, about 30 minutes earlier than usual. That never happened before. Not with the way traffic runs down on Route 17. But that day, the lanes were wide open. Like the whole universe had cleared the way just for me. I parked a block away, figuring I'd grab a burger from Benny's and just walk the rest. Stretch my legs a bit. Think about the weekend. That's when I noticed something strange. Her car was already in the driveway. Which was weird, because she always worked late on Fridays. Always. For the past 6 years, she stayed at the office until 7. Sometimes later. I didn't think much of it at first. Maybe her boss let her go early. Maybe she had a headache. Maybe it was just one of those days. The front door was unlocked. That was the second thing. She never left it open. Not even when I was just a few minutes behind her. It was one of those habits we both had. Lock, double check, test the handle. I stepped inside, quietly. No reason, really. Just instinct. The house was quiet, but not empty. I could hear something faint upstairs. Not footsteps. Not a voice. Just movement. A rhythm. I took a deep breath and walked to the bottom of the staircase. The sound got clearer. Soft. Repetitive. Familiar, in a way that made my stomach tighten. I pulled out my phone. I didn't know why, but I hit record. I climbed the stairs slowly. Each step felt heavier than the last. My heart was pounding so loud I thought they'd hear it before I even reached the top. I turned the corner and stopped outside our bedroom door. It was open just a crack. Enough. Just enough to see her legs. She was facing the window. Knees on the bed. Her hands gripped the headboard. And behind her, someone I hadn't seen in years. My old friend. My best man. Daniel. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. My hand was shaking, but I kept recording. Every second felt like a lifetime. Every sound they made burned itself into my brain. I could hear her moaning his name. Whispering things she never said to me. Things I didn't even know she had in her. I stepped back. Carefully. Slowly. I didn't slam the door. I didn't yell. I didn't charge in. I walked down the stairs like I was sleepwalking. Out the front door. Into my car. I sat there for I don't know how long. Could have been 10 minutes. Could have been 2 hours. I played the video again. And again. I couldn't stop. I watched the way she moved. The way she looked at him. The way she smiled. It wasn't just the sex. It was the intimacy. The affection. The way she touched his face afterward, like she was holding something precious. She never looked at me that way. Not in years. Maybe never. I didn't go back inside. I drove to a motel 20 minutes out of town. Checked in under a fake name. Slept on a bed that smelled like bleach and cigarette ash. I kept the video on loop, volume low. I listened to every breath, every laugh, every lie. I didn't cry. I wanted to, but I couldn't. Something inside me had shut off. Like a breaker had tripped in my chest. No more warmth. No more love. Just static. The next morning, she texted me. "Where are you? You okay?" I stared at it for 5 minutes before replying. "Long night at the bar. Crashed at Steve's." She replied with a heart emoji. I didn't answer. That was Saturday. On Sunday, I drove back home. I smiled. kissed her on the cheek. She smelled like lavender and guilt. I told her we should go out for dinner sometime next week. She lit up. Said she missed that version of me. I nodded. I said I missed him too. But inside, I was already gone. That week, I bought a second phone. Untraceable. I set up hidden cameras in the bedroom, the living room, even inside the garage. Motion activated, night vision, cloud backup. I became obsessed with surveillance. She never noticed. Never even questioned the slight rearrangements. The new smoke detector that wasn't there before. The alarm clock I swapped out for one with a lens in the faceplate. She thought I was being sweet. That I was getting better. I was getting colder. Every night, I'd pretend to sleep. Then, when the house went quiet, I'd review the footage. Watch her pacing. Watch her texting. Sometimes I'd see her smile at her phone in that way that made my chest tighten. I knew she hadn't stopped. I just didn't know when the next act would come. But I'd be ready. I'd be the one holding the camera next time. And when it happened, I'd make sure she remembered it. Forever. It took exactly 10 days. 10 days of smiles, small talk, and the same routine: coffee in the morning, texts at noon, dinner around 7, and her phone always face down on the table. 10 days of pretending I didn't know. 10 days of playing husband while I sharpened the knife of truth in silence. I'd wake up before her. I'd watch her sleep. I'd study her face like it was a crime scene. I'd try to remember if that smile was ever mine. If that softness was ever for me. And every time she opened her eyes and greeted me with a kiss, I felt like I was kissing a stranger wearing my wife's skin. I stopped eating at home. Said I was trying intermittent fasting. She praised me for the self-discipline. Said she was proud of me. Called me babe again like we were 26 and broke. I almost laughed in her face. What she didn't know was that I was spending those hours pulling her phone records, cross-checking locations, texting with a PI in Buffalo who specialized in infidelity cases. I'd already wired half the payment. The rest was waiting in an envelope beneath a loose floorboard in our garage. I'd marked the spot with blue chalk. On the 11th night, it happened again. She told me she had a late client call and went upstairs with a glass of wine. She locked the bedroom door. Said it was because of sound bleed from the kitchen TV. I sat on the couch. Volume muted. My phone in my lap. Watching live feed from the lens inside the smoke detector. 10 minutes in, she walked into the frame, wrapped in a robe she only wore when I was out of town. Her hair was pinned up. Her makeup was fresh. 11 minutes later, he came through the window. Daniel. That smug, soft-footed bastard actually scaled the side trellis and let himself in like some teenage Romeo. She giggled. Told him he looked like a criminal. He said, only if loving you is a crime. They laughed. I didn't. I hit record again. Not just video this time. Audio too. Every word. Every groan. Every whisper. I captured it all. But I didn't watch it live. No. I turned off the feed and walked into the garage. I opened the toolbox. Sat down on the bench. Closed my eyes and just sat there. The air smelled like oil and steel. My palms were sweating, but my body was calm. Too calm. At 3:12 a.m., I heard him leave. I waited an extra 10 minutes. Then went inside, tiptoed past the stairs, and slept on the couch. She came down at 7, kissed me on the head, and asked if I wanted eggs. I said I'd eat at the office. That Monday, I printed the stills, 12 full-color frames showing everything I needed. Her face. His hands. The clock on the wall. The wine glass. The robe. I put them in an envelope and labeled it for HR only. You see, Daniel didn't just ruin my marriage. He worked with her. They were both in the same firm. Different departments, but same floor. Same Christmas parties. Same damn karaoke nights where I'd cheer for them like a fool. That week, I booked a meeting with her department head. Told them I had concerns about intra-office conduct that might open the company to liability. Gave them the envelope. Said I'd follow up in writing. They opened it as I left the room. I didn't look back. 2 days later, she came home early. Eyes red. Hands shaking. She said she'd been let go. Restructuring. Downsizing. Something about budget cuts. She tried to laugh. Tried to say she was okay. But her voice cracked in a way I hadn't heard since her mother's funeral. I nodded. Said I'd take care of dinner. I made lasagna. Her favorite. She picked at it. Asked if I still loved her. I told her I didn't know what love meant anymore. She cried. I didn't. Later that night, while she cried herself to sleep upstairs, I sent the footage to Daniel's wife. Yes, he was married too. 2 kids. Golden retriever. Facebook profile full of vacation photos and my queen captions. I sent her everything. The video. The audio. The timestamped texts. Even a photo of the 2 of them naked, lying on my bed, beneath a painting we bought on our honeymoon. She replied with 1 word. Thank you. The next morning, Daniel was gone. No car in the driveway. No lights on. No footprints in the snow. 3 hours later, she got a text from a blocked number. I watched her read it. Watched her sink into the kitchen floor, like someone had unplugged her bones. I didn't ask what it said. I already knew. That weekend, I sat her down. Told her everything. Told her I knew. Told her I'd known for weeks. She didn't speak for the first 10 minutes. Just sat there, mouth open, eyes blinking like she was waiting to wake up from a bad dream. Then came the apologies. The begging. The reaching. She tried to hold my hand. I let her. For 5 seconds. Then I pulled away. I told her I wasn't angry anymore. I told her I wasn't even sad. I told her I was done. She asked if there was someone else. I laughed. Hard. No, I said. There's just peace. And it doesn't include you. She cried again. Said she'd do anything. Said she'd go to therapy. Sell the house. Quit drinking. Quit breathing, if I asked her to. I stood up. Walked to the door. Opened it. And waited. She looked at me like I was the villain. Like I was the one who'd broken something. But she walked out. 1 step. Then 2. Then out of my life. I closed the door. Locked it. Double-checked the handle. Then sat on the couch. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't play the video. I didn't need to. It was burned into me now. But it didn't hurt anymore. Not like before. Now, it just reminded me of who I'd been. And who I wasn't anymore. It's been 2 months. 63 days since she walked out that door with her keys, her purse, and the last pieces of the lie she built around our marriage. She moved in with her sister, or at least that's what I heard from mutual friends. I didn't ask. I didn't care. Not anymore. The house feels different now. Not empty, exactly, just still. Like it's finally breathing again. Like it was holding its breath for years and only now remembered how to exhale. I rearranged the furniture. Got rid of the floral rug she insisted on buying. Donated her antique mirror to Goodwill. Threw away the spice rack with all those fancy glass jars she never used. Started cooking with just salt, pepper, and fire. I reclaimed the space, inch by inch. But there was one thing I couldn't throw away. The video. I didn't watch it anymore. I didn't need to. But I kept it. Stored on a drive, hidden behind layers of encryption. Not because I wanted to relive it. But because I wanted a reminder. A scar. Proof that it happened. Proof that I survived. People kept asking if I was okay. If I was moving on. If I'd started dating again. I told them I was fine. And I was. Mostly. But healing isn't linear. Some mornings, I'd wake up and forget she was gone. I'd roll over and instinctively reach for her, only to find cold sheets and silence. Other days, I'd see couples at the grocery store and feel nothing but relief. Grateful that I no longer had to pretend. Grateful that I didn't have to fake small talk or force smiles while my world fell apart in secret. I started going to the gym again. Not to get fit. Not to impress anyone. Just to feel something. To sweat. To push against pain that made sense. My trainer, Mark, was a no-bullshit kind of guy. Early 50s. Divorced twice. Built like a tank. He didn't ask questions. Just handed me weights and said, lift until it stops hurting. So I did. It didn't stop hurting. But I got stronger. I ran into Daniel once. At a gas station outside town. He was in a hoodie and jeans. No wedding ring. No smile. Just a man with tired eyes and a face that looked older than it should have. He saw me. I saw him. He nodded. I didn't. I turned around, paid for my gas, and left. I didn't need closure. He didn't deserve it. I got a call from her one night. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity, well, it's a bitch. Hey, she said. Her voice was soft. Fragile. I said nothing. She exhaled. I wanted to say I'm sorry. Again. Still, I said nothing. I've been going to therapy, she continued. I'm trying to understand why I did what I did. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so painfully late. She kept talking. Said she missed me. Said she thought about me every day. Said she hoped one day I could forgive her. I waited. Then I said, forgiveness isn't for you. She paused. What do you mean? It means, I said, that forgiving you doesn't mean I want you back. It doesn't mean I forget. It means I stop bleeding from the wound you gave me. Silence. Then, are you still bleeding? I thought about that. No, I said. I'm not. I hung up. I blocked the number. That was the last time I heard her voice. A week later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just my name. Inside was a photograph, me and her, taken at some wedding years ago. We were dancing. Smiling. Holding each other like we actually believed in forever. There was a note scribbled on the back. I'm sorry I broke us. You were the best part of my life. I didn't keep the picture. I burned it. Watched the edges curl and turn to ash. Then I went inside and made steak for dinner. Alone. And it tasted just fine. The next chapter of my life didn't come with fanfare. No new love story. No grand transformation montage. Just mornings where I woke up without dread. Evenings where I watched the sunset without wondering where she was or who she was with. I joined a book club. Started writing again. Bought a motorcycle. Not because I needed speed, but because I needed wind. Noise. Something that drowned out the echoes of what if. There was a woman at the gym. Lisa. Mid-40s. Widow. Sharp eyes. Dry humor. We talked. Trained together. Got coffee once. She didn't ask about my past, and I didn't ask about hers. There was no pressure. No timeline. Just two people learning how to exist again. Maybe it'll turn into something. Maybe not. And for the first time in a long time? I'm okay either way. Because here's what they don't tell you about heartbreak. It doesn't kill you. It just strips you bare. It takes everything you thought you were and crushes it into dust. And then, one day, without even realizing it, you start building again. Not from the ashes. But from the silence. From the space you cleared by letting go. And in that space, you begin. Again. Not as the man you were. But as the man you survived to become. I thought it was over. I really did. But peace has a way of making you drop your guard. And when your guard's down, that's when the past slips in. It started with a voicemail. Blocked number. No message preview. I almost deleted it without listening. But something about it, it just didn't sit right. I put in my earbuds, hit play, and waited. All I heard was breathing. Heavy. Ragged. Then a whisper. He's gone. Click. That was it. No name. No explanation. Just two words that shouldn't have meant anything. But they did. Because that voice wasn't hers. It was her sister's. 3 hours later, I was standing in front of a small grey house just outside town. I hadn't seen it in years. Hadn't been invited. Had no reason to come back. But the porch light was on. And she was waiting. Lydia. Her sister. She looked older. Tired. Her hair pulled back tight, face pale. But her eyes were sharp, always had been. She opened the door before I knocked. You got it? She asked. I nodded. She stepped aside. The house smelled like lavender and old tears. Same as it did the last time I'd been there, years ago, for a birthday barbecue neither of us really wanted to attend. The living room was clean. Too clean. Like she'd scrubbed it an hour ago hoping to keep her hands busy. She pointed at the couch. He's gone, she said again. Daniel. I sat down, heart flatlining in my chest. What do you mean gone? She looked at me, and something in her face broke. Suicide. The word hung in the air like smoke. He left a note. 2, actually. 1 for his kids. 1 for her. She handed me a copy of the second one. It was handwritten. Shaky. Blue ink on yellow paper. I ruined everything. I destroyed the one good thing I had. I was selfish, stupid, blind. I thought I could take something that wasn't mine without consequence. But I took too much. I hurt too many. I lost everything. I'm sorry. Not because of what happened to me, but because of what I did to you. I hope you find peace. You deserve it. No signature. But we both knew who it was for. I didn't speak for a long time. Lydia sat across from me, arms wrapped around her knees like she was holding herself together with force. "She's not okay," she said. "My sister. She's unraveling. Blames herself. Blames you. Blames everyone." I raised an eyebrow. "Blames me?" Lydia nodded. "She said you exposed them. Said you ruined his life." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was insane. I ruined his life? He crawled into my home. Into my bed. Into my marriage. "I know," she said. "I'm not defending him. Or her. But I thought you should know." I leaned back. "So what? You want me to feel guilty now? You want me to regret it?" "No," she said. "I want you to be careful." That made me pause. "Careful?" She nodded. "She's not just sad. She's angry. Grieving. Obsessed. She talks about you constantly. Watches your social media. Sends herself messages from old fake accounts. Deletes them so no one else sees." I sat up. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying, she's not done with you." That night, I checked every door. Every window. Every motion light on the property. I reset passwords, scanned my network, deleted old backups. Then I pulled out the video again. For the first time in weeks. Not to punish myself. To remember. To ground myself in the truth. I needed to be clear, because I could feel something shifting. The air. The silence. The illusion of closure cracking like ice. The next morning, there was an envelope on my doorstep. No postage. No name. Inside, a photo. Me and Lisa, from the gym, standing outside a diner. Laughing. On the back, four words scrawled in thick black marker. "You move on." I don't. I didn't show it to Lisa. She'd done nothing wrong. She deserved better than to be dragged into this mess. But it was a message. And I understood it loud and clear. I took the photo, set it on fire, and watched it crumble into black ash. Then I called Mark, my trainer. "I need a favor," I said. "Anything," he replied. "What's up?" "I need to disappear for a while." The next 2 weeks, I stayed off-grid. Rented a cabin out near the state line. No Wi-Fi. No signal. Just trees, wind, and silence. Mark brought supplies every 4 days. Lisa didn't ask questions. She just said, "Come back whole." And I did. Mostly. I thought distance would give me clarity. But what it gave me was space. To think. To remember. To ask the question I'd avoided for months. Why did I let her break me? Not the betrayal. Not the act. But the time I gave her after. The months of limbo. The obsessive replays. The quiet war I fought against a ghost. I realized something out there, in that stillness. She didn't win. She never did. She didn't destroy me. She just removed the illusion I had of who she was. And for the first time since this all began, I didn't feel hollow. I felt clean. I returned 3 weeks later. Cut my hair. Cleared out my old hard drives. Deleted the videos. Every last one. It was time. Lisa met me at the diner. Same one from the photo. She smiled when she saw me. "You look lighter," she said. I smiled back. Because I'm not carrying her anymore. We talked for an hour. Then another. Then silence. Not awkward. Not heavy. Just quiet. The kind you don't need to run from. We didn't define anything. Didn't label it. But I knew. This wasn't the end. This was the start of something that wouldn't begin in pain. But life, it doesn't always cooperate. And the past? It doesn't always stay buried. Not when someone's still digging. Because 3 days later, there was another envelope on my doorstep. And this one wasn't empty. The envelope was heavier this time. It had weight, not just in the way it landed on the doormat, but in the way it pulsed through my chest when I picked it up. No return address. No name. Just my name scrawled across the front in thick blue ink. I took it inside, sat at the kitchen table, and opened it with the same care you'd give to something poisonous. Inside were 5 things. 1. A printed photo of my parents' house. 2. A screenshot of Lisa's Facebook page. 3. A picture of me walking into the gym. 4. A flash drive. 5. A note. The note was short. Just 1 sentence. You moved on. I moved closer. I didn't blink. Didn't speak. Just stared at the words like they might rearrange themselves into something less insane. But they didn't. They were steady. Cold. Sharp. And personal. Whoever sent this, she wanted me to know she was watching. That the past wasn't just lingering anymore. It was approaching. I stood up, took the flash drive, and walked into the garage where I kept a clean, air-gapped laptop. I wasn't about to plug this into my personal system. I'd seen too many people lose everything that way. The files loaded slowly. Inside were videos. 6 of them. All taken in the past 2 weeks. One was a recording of Lisa leaving her apartment. Another was me at a gas station, filling up my bike. A third was a drone shot, my backyard from above. There was even a short clip of me inside the bookstore, flipping through a novel. It wasn't just surveillance. It was a message. She wanted me to feel exposed. To feel unsafe. And I did. But I wasn't afraid. Not the way she wanted me to be. I was furious. I'd spent months crawling out of the wreckage she left behind. Months rebuilding what little of myself was still intact. I had found peace again, brick by brick. And now she wanted to kick it down? No. Not this time. I made 3 calls. The first was to Mark. I told him everything. The photos. The footage. The message. His response was simple. Need backup? The second was to a cybersecurity expert I'd met through a mutual friend. Former FBI. Quiet. Brilliant. I gave him the flash drive and told him to trace it. The third was to Lydia. She didn't answer the first time. But she called me back 20 minutes later. I didn't waste time. Is your sister okay? There was a pause. Define we're okay, she said. I didn't answer. She sighed. She's not sleeping. Barely eating. She's paranoid. Keep saying you're the reason Daniel's dead. She's sending me photos, I said. Of Lisa. My parents. Me. She's filming me. Following me. Another pause. Jesus. Yeah. What do you want me to do? Talk to her. Stop her. Before this turns into something worse. I'll try, she said. But I'm not sure she's listening to anyone anymore. That night, I slept with a baseball bat by the bed. Not because I expected her to show up. But because I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I started noticing things. A parked car outside that didn't belong on the street. A pair of footprints in the backyard after it rained. A familiar perfume scent that lingered on my mailbox. It was subtle. But it was there. Like smoke in the air. Then came the email. It landed in my inbox at 2:03 a.m. Subject line, "AI was enough until you wanted peace." The body contained a single link to a Google Drive folder. I didn't click it. I forwarded it to my guy. He confirmed what I suspected: a location tracking, malware, screen access tools hidden in the zip. She wasn't just watching me now. She wanted in. Inside my life. Inside my system. Inside my mind. I shut everything down. Wiped my devices. Started over. No social media. No cloud. No Bluetooth. Total isolation. She couldn't reach what she couldn't find. But the damage was already done. She had crossed a line. I filed a report. Went to the police. Handed over the photos, the flash drive, the note. They listened. Took copies. Wrote it up. But I could see it in their faces: doubt. No threats. No violence. No proof it was her. "She's your ex, right?" the officer asked. "Yeah." "She ever hurt you before?" "No." "But she's unstable. Obsessed." He nodded slowly. "Unless she does something criminal, our hands are tied." I walked out of that station more alone than when I walked in. Lisa found out 3 days later. She called me while I was installing new motion sensors on the back gate. Her voice was shaken. "Did you know someone was filming me?" I froze. "Where?" "At the gym. My apartment. Even when I was walking my dog." She paused. "Is this your ex?" "Yes." She went quiet. Then said the one thing I didn't expect. "Do you want me to leave?" That hit harder than anything my ex ever did. "No," I said. "I want you to stay. But I also want you to be safe." "So what do we do?" I took a breath. "We stop running." That weekend, I did something I never thought I'd do. I invited her. My ex. To meet. Public. Daylight. Neutral ground. A park bench near the river we used to walk by. She came. Of course she did. She looked nothing like the woman I once knew. Eyes sunken. Lips chapped. Hair tied back like she didn't care anymore. But her stare? Still sharp. Still familiar. She sat down next to me. Didn't say hello. Didn't smile. Just stared at the water. "You look good," she said eventually. "I'm not here for compliments." She nodded. "I miss you." I didn't respond. "You ruined me," she added. "You made me feel invisible." I turned to her. "You made yourself invisible the moment you opened that window for him." She blinked. Once. Hard. "You don't get to act like the victim." "I'm not," I said. "But I'm not your toy either. Or your obsession." She laughed bitterly. "You think this is obsession? This is grief. You killed Daniel." "He killed himself," I said flatly. "Because of what he did. Because he couldn't live with it. That's not on me. That's on you. And him." Her hand twitched. I didn't flinch. "Why are you here?" she whispered. "To tell you this ends now." She looked at me, really looked. Then said, "Or what?" I stood up. "This is your last warning." Stay away from me. From Lisa. From everyone I care about. Or I stop playing nice. I didn't wait for her reply. I walked away. Didn't look back. Didn't want to. Some things deserve to be left on a bench, staring into a river that never stops moving. 2 weeks passed after that conversation by the river. She didn't call. Didn't text. No more envelopes. No shadows behind the trees. No footsteps outside the window. Nothing. At first, I thought maybe she heard me. Maybe something in her finally snapped back into place. Maybe she'd realized the wreckage she'd left behind was real, not just around her, but inside her too. But peace, I've learned, is never just peace. It's a test. A trap. A quiet before something sharp. On the 15th day, Lisa's tires were slashed. All four. Clean. Precise. No cameras caught it. No witnesses. And there was a sticky note on her windshield. Do you still think you're safe? She didn't cry. Didn't scream. She showed up at my door at midnight, holding the note with both hands like it was a live wire. Her voice barely above a whisper when she said, "She won't stop, will she?" I didn't lie. No. Not until someone makes her. I didn't go to the police this time. I went to a lawyer. Old school guy. Wore suspenders. Smelled like coffee and copy paper. Had a stare like steel and zero patience for excuses. After an hour and a half, he leaned forward and said, "We can hit her with a restraining order. Civil and criminal. We file today. But if she violates it, and she will, you need to be ready. She's going to escalate. These people always do." I nodded. I'm ready. But I wasn't. Not for what came next. The restraining order was granted. Temporary at first. A full hearing set 2 weeks out. She was served at her job. Yes, she had picked up a job again. Receptionist at some holistic therapy clinic across town. The moment she was handed the papers, she lost it. Screaming. Crying. Knocking a plant off the desk. The receptionist told me she yelled my name like it was a curse word. Like I'd murdered something sacred. And that night? That night, my front window shattered. A brick. Wrapped in cloth. No note this time, just impact. Glass everywhere. Blood on the floor from where I'd stepped without thinking. I knew it was her. But proving it? Different story. Police came. Took photos. Filed a report. Said the usual. We'll look into it. But we all knew what that meant. Lisa stayed at her sister's for a few days. I told her it was safer. Truth was, I couldn't sleep knowing she might be the next target. I had motion lights, alarms, cameras, backup power, none of it mattered if she decided to go off the rails completely. I sat on the couch with a bat across my lap for 3 nights straight. Didn't sleep. Didn't eat. Just waited. But she didn't come back. The hearing came. I showed up in a collared shirt, fresh shave, folder full of evidence, photos, videos, text messages, printed screenshots of the email with malware links. She showed up with a messy bun and a chipped black notebook. She looked thin. Pale. Her eyes red. No lawyer. Just rage. The judge reviewed everything. Asked her to speak. She said I was a narcissist. A manipulator. That I'd framed her. That I had connections who were setting her up. The judge listened. Nodded. Then asked one question. Do you deny sending the photos, following him, or attempting to contact him after being served? She paused. Then whispered, "I loved him." "That's not a denial," the judge said, and signed the papers. 6 months. Full restraining order. No contact. No proximity. No messages. No notes. Violation? Automatic arrest. She didn't speak after that. Just stood there, shaking. And I watched her walk out of that courtroom like a woman being slowly erased from the world. I thought it was over. Again. And for a while, it was. No contact. No bricks. No notes. Lisa came back. Slowly. Carefully. Like a bird testing the wind before landing again. We took it day by day. Dinner at home. Morning coffee. Late night walks in silence. No pressure. Just presence. It was real. And I was ready to believe. Until I got the call. Blocked number. Same as always. I didn't answer. But the voicemail? That stopped everything. The voice was shaky. Breathy. "My name is Erin," the woman said. "I'm her roommate. I found your number in her stuff. I thought you should know, she's in the hospital." Pause. She tried to kill herself. Click. I sat in my truck for an hour. Engine off. Windows up. Phone screen still showing one new voicemail. My heart wasn't racing. It was steady. Too steady. Like my body hadn't caught up to the meaning yet. Hospital. Suicide attempt. Same woman who followed me. Filmed me. Threatened Lisa. Shattered my window. And now, this? I didn't know what I felt. Pity? No. Guilt? Not quite. But something. A strange emptiness. Like someone had unplugged the power and left the lights flickering inside me. I didn't go see her. I didn't send flowers. I didn't answer the follow-up message from the roommate asking, "Would you talk to her?" It might help. It wouldn't. Not her. Not me. 3 days later, another envelope came. This one didn't come by mail. It was slid under the front door. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Handwritten. No threats. No demands. Just a list. Memories. Our first kiss in the rain. That weekend in Asheville. The time we danced at your brother's wedding. The old playlist you made for our road trip. That burnt lasagna. The night you held me after I lost my job. The time you cried in the shower and didn't think I noticed. How I used to call you a home. At the bottom, one sentence. I just wanted you to know that I remembered too. That was the last I ever heard from her. Weeks passed. Months. No more notes. No more messages. No more war. She moved out of town. Or maybe out of state. Lisa and I didn't talk about her anymore. We built something different. Quiet. Strong. Untouched by what came before. Because pain doesn't get the last word. It never should. It's just the punctuation before something new begins. Fall arrived without asking. The leaves turned without permission. The air grew colder without warning. And somewhere between the shortening days and longer shadows, I realized I hadn't thought about her in almost a week. It was strange, the absence. Like walking into a room where a clock used to tick. You don't notice it's gone at first. Then suddenly, the silence hits you like a wave. I wasn't haunted anymore. Not by her voice. Not by her perfume. Not by the question that used to follow me everywhere like a ghost. Why? Why did she do it? Why didn't I stop it? Why did it all end this way? But time, it does something cruel and kind at once. It dulls the edge of memory. But it never lets you forget the cut. Lisa and I had settled into something I never thought I'd feel again, normal. Not fireworks. Not fantasies. Just real. We cooked together. Sometimes in silence. Sometimes with music. She always burned the garlic. I never said a word. We didn't talk about trauma. We just existed. Side by side. And that, I learned, was its own kind of healing. I started writing again. Not for work. Not for revenge. For myself. Little things. Letters I'd never send. Pages I'd tear up as soon as they were written. But one day, I wrote something different. A list. Of things I'd forgiven myself for. Staying too long. Not seeing it sooner. Recording the truth. Letting her fall. Not going to the hospital. Moving on. Smiling again. I folded it up. Put it in the back of my drawer. Didn't burn it. Didn't hide it. Just kept it. Like a map of where I'd been. Then one morning, I got a letter. Handwritten. Neat. Familiar, but not hers. The return address was New Mexico. I opened it on the back porch, coffee in one hand, dog asleep at my feet. It wasn't long. It was from Daniel's widow. Her name was Claire. We had never spoken. Until now. You don't know me, and maybe you never wanted to. But I've known about you for a long time. Not just because of what happened with him. But because of how you handled it. I saw the footage. All of it. She sent it to me. Months after the fact. Maybe out of guilt. Maybe to clear her name. I don't know. But I want you to know something. You didn't ruin my family. He did. She did. And I'm not angry with you. If anything, I'm sorry. Sorry you had to find out that way. Sorry it followed you the way it did. Sorry people like them exist. I've moved on. I'm okay. The kids are okay. I hope you're okay too. That's all I wanted to say. There was no number. No email. Just a name and a signature. And for some reason, that hit harder than anything she, my ex, ever did. Because it wasn't rage. It wasn't revenge. It was grace. And I wasn't sure I deserved it. I showed Lisa the letter. She read it in silence, lips pressed tight. When she finished, she just nodded once and said, "Closure comes in strange forms." And she was right. It would have been a perfect ending. Right there. But life doesn't always care about perfect. One Tuesday afternoon, while Lisa was at work and I was fixing the kitchen sink, the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I wiped my hands, walked to the door. Opened it. And froze. It wasn't her. But it might as well have been. A man stood there. Mid-30s. Nervous eyes. Jaw twitching. Holding something in his hands. A box. Are you? Michael, he asked. I nodded slowly. He looked down at the box. She told me to give this to you. If anything ever happened. Who? Emily. My ex. He handed me the box like it was radioactive. Didn't wait. Didn't explain. Just walked back to his car and drove off. No license plate. No words. Just gone. I stood there for a long time. Box in my hands. No lock. No label. Just wait. I took it inside. Set it on the table. And stared at it. It took me 3 hours to open it. Inside was a stack of journals. Dozens. Labeled by year. 2014 to 2025. 11 years of handwriting. One envelope rested on top. My name. I opened it. Inside was one page. Folded 3 times. I never told the truth. Not really. The affair wasn't the beginning. It was the middle. The beginning was long before that. When I started to feel small. Not because of you. Because of me. You were too steady. Too strong. And I was drowning in my own emptiness. Daniel saw that. He didn't fill it. He just helped me forget it. And when you found out, I thought I hated you. But the truth is, I hated that you didn't break. You stayed calm. You stayed you. And that destroyed me more than anything. I don't want forgiveness. I just want you to know. You were never the problem. I was. I hope you found peace. I hope you kept writing. Goodbye. There was no signature. But I didn't need one. I sat there for hours. The journals untouched. The letter in my lap. I didn't cry. Didn't curse. Didn't feel vindicated. Just still. The kind of still that only comes after a storm has passed and left you standing in a world you don't quite recognize. That night, I burned the letter. Not out of spite. Not out of hate. But because that chapter was closed. And it didn't belong in my house anymore. Lisa asked me what it was. I told her, the final goodbye. She nodded. Didn't ask more. She didn't need to. Because she saw it in my face. The war was over. Finally. The journals stayed on the shelf for 2 weeks. I didn't touch them. Didn't open them. Just kept them there like quiet ghosts, lined up spine to spine, waiting to be heard. Lisa never asked about them. She saw the box the day I brought it in. Looked at me, looked at it, then turned back to her book. We had an unspoken agreement, some stories didn't belong to both of us. Some pain, even when healed, left bone memory. And some memories, you leave sealed. But eventually, on a rainy Sunday morning, I picked one up. The earliest. The ink had faded slightly. The handwriting was tighter, neater. Like she still cared about appearances. Still believed in the structure of things. The first page was filled with optimism. Plans. Dreams. Mentions of me, little things. Michael made me coffee again this morning, even though he hates the smell. He's too good to me. That line hit harder than I expected. Because back then? It was true. She used to love me the way people love a favorite song, on repeat, loud, with the windows down. But somewhere along the line, she changed the station. I didn't read all the journals. I couldn't. Some things weren't meant to be known retroactively. Some wounds didn't need a second life. But I read enough to understand one thing. She had been unhappy for a long time. Not because of me. But in spite of me. She never figured out who she was. Just who she thought she was supposed to be. Wife. Professional. Supporter. Pretty. Good. Safe. She wrote those words like prison bars. And Daniel? He wasn't her escape. he was her collapse. The journals painted a woman who was unraveling herself piece by piece while trying to pretend she was still stitched together. And maybe that's why the betrayal hurt so badly. Because I never saw it. I was standing right beside her, and I missed it all. I took the box and buried it. Literally. Out near the edge of the woods behind my house. A quiet place. No ceremony. No words. Just earth. And a long breath when it was done. Lisa found me later, dirt on my hands. She asked if I was okay. I nodded. Yeah, I said. She's gone now. And I meant it. That fall, we took a trip. Small town in Colorado. No plans. Just nature. We hiked. We cooked. We laughed at local roadside signs and overpriced tourist coffee. It was the first time I'd seen Lisa truly relax. Not because she felt safe. But because I did. One night, we sat on the cabin porch, under a sky so full of stars it looked like someone had poked holes in the fabric of the world. She leaned into me and asked, "Do you still think about her?" I didn't lie. Sometimes. But it doesn't hurt anymore. She nodded. I don't want to replace her, she said. You don't, I replied. You never could. She looked at me. Confused. Then I smiled and said, "That's why I love you." It's been over a year now. Since the last message. Since the last memory I didn't invite. Life is quiet in the best way. I write part-time. Nothing major. Just essays. Fiction. The occasional story for a podcast that likes gritty, honest stuff. Lisa teaches art to kids. She's great at it. Her hands are always covered in paint or glue, and she always smells like lavender and chalk. We moved into a new place. Not because we needed to. But because it felt right. Fresh walls. New air. No ghosts. Sometimes I walk the trails behind the property and think about who I used to be. The man who recorded his wife. The man who watched his life burn in high definition. The man who didn't break, but bent so far he forgot where his spine used to be. And then I remember where I am now. And I'm proud. Not because I won. Not because I got revenge. But because I rebuilt. I didn't let her end my story. I just let her exit it. A few weeks ago, I got a message. Not from her. From her sister. Lydia. Just a simple update. Thought you should know. Emily's remarried. Moved to Oregon. Seems stable now. Just thought, in case you were wondering. I stared at the message for a long time. Not angry. Not sad. Just numb. Then I replied. I hope she stays that way. That was all. No venom. No sarcasm. Just honesty. Because I meant it. She was someone else's story now. And that was okay. I told Lisa about the message. She asked if I wanted to talk about it. I said no. Then she poured me a drink anyway, sat beside me on the porch, and said nothing. And that silence? That's what love feels like, after the storm. Not loud. Not desperate. Not filled with conditions. Just present. Like a lighthouse after the sea has finally calmed. So here's what I know now. Closure doesn't come in a single moment. It's not a letter. It's not a trial. It's not even revenge. Closure is quiet. It's waking up one day and realizing you don't flinch at her name. It's reading an old journal and feeling nothing but distant pity. It's hearing her favorite song and not changing the station. It's living. Fully. Without needing her to hurt anymore to feel okay. And for the first time since that video, since that crack in my world, I feel okay. Really, truly okay. If this is the last chapter, then let it end like this. A man who was broken, but not buried. A man who was betrayed, but not bitter. A man who didn't win back what he lost, but built something better in its place. A man who forgave. Not because she earned it, but because he deserved peace.